Pop quiz, hot shot. What if I told you there was a single workplace activity that, according to a research study, shown that after doing this one thing, 93% of participants reported an improved mood. 79% report lower stress. And to boot, 75% of respondents felt proud to work for their employer. Oh, baby, jackpot, right? So what's that one workplace activity? The simple act of giving back. That data is from a 2018 Doing Good is Good For You study, and the value of supporting community programs and nonprofits is staggering for your organization's culture and employee engagement. However, this year again looks different. Volunteering takes on a whole new look due to remote workplaces and social distancing and yada, yada, yada. And don't forget, we're still worried about supporting our own employees during these times. How do we still make it a priority for organizations to support our communities? For answers like this, we're turning to two powerhouse guests on this week's Benefits Buzz podcast. We have Sandy Piatz, the Senior Director of Community Program Management and Site Leader of Microsoft's Fargo campus, and Christy Huber, the President and CEO of United Way of Cass Clay. And they share their perspectives on volunteerism, how they've adapted their philanthropic efforts, and what you can do at your organization to support the nonprofits in your community and activate your employees. My name is Eric Piola, host of the Benefits Buzz podcast, and I'm joined by my co-host, Kelsey Burgad. Ready, set, let's get buzzed. Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Benefits Buzz. Kelsey, I'm taking the name of our podcast literally today. I am on my fourth cup of coffee, so I'm riding that caffeine buzz hard right now.
That's awesome. I was wondering which direction you were going with buzz there, but I'm happy it's coffee.
I am too. Oh, too funny. Well, I'm excited. I'm most excited. I'm going to focus all this energy on introducing our guest that we have today. It's a wonderful topic on how do we give back to our community. Obviously, we're kind of tired of talking about COVID-19, but there's just no way around it because it's seriously impacted everything, right? In terms of how we work, how our employees interact with each other and with our community. And that's why we've brought on two just stellar guests today, dear friends and prominent individuals in our community at two awesome organizations. I'd like to welcome Sandy Piatz, who is the Senior Director, Community Program Management and Site Leader at Microsoft in Fargo campus, and Christy Huber, the President and CEO of United Way of Cass Clay. Welcome.
Thanks so much. Great to be here today.
Thank you. I am. This is just a really cool thing when people that I've grown up working with, and now I get to turn the tables and interview you on the show. It's a really cool pleasure. So thanks for coming on the podcast today. We've got a really good topic in front of us, and I can't wait to dive into it. Because I think this is probably something that HR professionals are kind of reeling with. Before we do so, I just want to take a moment to make sure and give you the opportunity to talk about sort of your roles. Obviously, you're leading two large, well-known organizations, not only in our area, but in the country. But I'd like to hear about what your role entails and just a tish about the organization you work for.
Christy, I'll let you go ahead and go first.
You're so kind, Sandy. So my name is Christy Huber. I serve as the President and CEO of United Way of Cass Clay here in Fargo, North Dakota. And we focus on how can we create a better tomorrow for everyone in our community. We focus on reducing hunger and homelessness, preparing children to succeed, helping people be independent, and lifting people out of poverty. And so we do that in partnership with great organizations like Microsoft, like WEX Health, because we just know that it takes all of us doing a little bit in order for us to make a big difference in our community. And so we are one of 1,200 United Ways that are across the U.S. And we're really proud that we're actually in the top 100 of the United Ways that are raising funds to help their community be even stronger.
Huge accomplishment. Congrats to you. And you're just you and United Way is a great asset to our community. So thanks for coming to the show. Sandy, how about you?
Yeah, thanks, Eric. And I agree. United Way is such a great asset. They are a local partner of Microsoft's here in Fargo, and then also a national partner for Microsoft. So it's exciting to be on the podcast here with Christy from the United Way. As you mentioned, I'm the site leader for Fargo, and so my team and we oversee the site strategy, cross-site employee engagement, and that includes when you think about the whole life cycle of an employee, from how we help recruit and retain and onboard to the morale and training and support to their life cycle here at Microsoft. We also do the community engagement, which is where I get the benefit to partner with the United Way quite a bit. And then we lead our executive briefing center and our STEM programming. And what we do for the community program management effort across the Americas is we take a lot of this strategy and effort that we do here locally in Fargo, and we figure out how do we help do that same type of connection where we have other sites across the Americas. And so our organization at Microsoft is a technology company, and we're truly dedicated to helping advance both the human and organizational achievement through the use of technology. Worldwide, we have over 156,000 employees, and here in Fargo, we have about 1,700.
Yeah, it's one of the top 5 campuses that Microsoft has. It's always like a jaw dropper for people when they find out that little old Fargo has one of Microsoft's largest campuses. So that's great. So, well, welcome both of you onto the show again. I want to get real quick here and ask you a poignant question. So HR professionals, they've been reeling, right? They're trying to support their organization and their company. And their employees. And this podcast episode is about giving back to the community. And so it's a tough balancing act for when they're kind of concerned about their own well-being and their company's well-being. How have you found, one, from both of your perspectives, how has this COVID-19 kind of impacted the way in which you've seen organizations give back? Is it still a priority for them? Or we know it probably should be, but it's got to be difficult. So what are you seeing in terms of fundraising and community involvement from organizations from your own perspectives?
I would say that our community has just been incredible. We have community partners and companies that truly are focused. I think it's one of the reasons why our community is so strong. They want to figure out how can they give back, how can they really incorporate philanthropy and volunteerism into the culture. And that I see as a very strong theme for some of the best companies that we get to partner with as well. Right now, actually, has been one of the most challenging times because everybody is working from home, or people are remote, or people are just not in the same space. And so, how do you create that camaraderie and continue to be able to set goals that will achieve common success? And so right now, one thing that we're doing locally, every year we have a school supply drive, and we have set a goal to be able to fill 6,000 backpacks for our community kids. Wow. We know that no matter if they're going to be in school or if they're going to be learning virtually, especially for children in poverty, we know how important it is for them to have the tools to be able to succeed. And so definitely this year, we don't have as many people that are bringing items, collecting items within their own organizations. And so we needed to come up with something innovative to be able to offer the companies to still participate. And so we partnered with a company called Runga. And what they did is they helped us set up online virtual school supply drives. So I know that Microsoft was one of our partners in doing this. And it was so exciting for us to see them share this information with their team members, because Microsoft just has a tremendous philanthropic heart as an organization. It's just part of their culture. And so for us to be able to see the way that they shared this information and the way that we could see the number of supplies that were being virtually purchased throughout their organization was incredible. And so it wasn't just Microsoft. We had around 25 other companies that really got on board, because they said, this is a cool way for us to bring people together and set a common goal that we can accomplish together without us being in the same space. And so we are just seeing tremendous results. The community's outpouring of care and support for our community's children. And it's really exciting. We've been able to see those virtual donations actually turn into backpacks that were delivered in bulk by a huge truck last week. And so we're so excited because we know that this is going to make a huge difference in the lives of kids in our community.
That is so awesome, Christy. I can speak from personal experience that backpack drive is just like such an emotional day to see kids who, maybe live in poverty and don't have the ability to go to a store and pick out their backpack, go and pick one up, and they get to select what color or design that they like the best. It's just one of the coolest days I've ever experienced. So kudos to you and your team for making that happen. Sandy, I would love to hear from your perspective, how you all got your team on board with that. In a virtual world, it's a little bit more complex to give back in the community. So how has your team adjusted to that?
Yeah, one of our values is corporate social responsibility as an organization. And so it's extremely important for us as an organization to make sure we're giving back. And we know that our team members have that same passion because we see it through our Give campaigns every year. Our Give campaign usually runs in the October timeframe. When COVID came around, corporate allowed us to run that campaign throughout this whole time frame. And so it's called Microsoft Together is the name of the campaign that we run. So it was super excited to be able to allow and enable employees to give back throughout this whole time. Christy's team came to us with the idea for the school supply drive. And so we were super excited to be able to share that across our team members because we've continued this engagement virtually, whether it's through virtual town halls, through our newsletters, through our manager meetings, and then creating meetings in a box for our managers to share and uplift to their team members. And so it was really a great opportunity to leverage that campaign. Our team members done a few other things that we, even amidst the time when we're not at the site together, we did a drive-by food campaign where we gathered food and delivered it to the local food pantry. We have team members who are extremely technical, and so they created these bands that help pull the masks straps away from the ears and allow the mask to be more comfortable, and they did that through 3D printing. And we partnered with Gateway to Science in order to distribute those to all the healthcare workers locally. And so those are just a couple other examples in addition to the school supply drive of what we've seen either team members jump in and do or us to be able to coordinate as a site here in order to help support the local community.
Wow, those are awesome examples. And my fear originally would be that, are you finding that, employees, because they're dealing with their own issues and figuring out how to work from home and parent and do school, and that there will be this maybe apathy to give and to get outreach. But from what I've heard, you're still seeing, a lot of engagement from your employees, Sandy. You're seeing some really cool, innovative things that they've taken it on themselves to do. Those are great examples. Have you seen any kind of, drop in engagement, or are you seeing an acceleration in engagement? I love your perspective there.
Yeah, we've actually seen an increase in engagement, and we've actually also seen an increase in the number of ideas that are coming forward. So in fact, like the 3D printed mask strap, the food supply drive, those two examples I shared, those were actually team members that came to us and said, hey, can we run this type of a campaign, or can we do this? And so it's really exciting to see those, not just the engagement up in regards to team members giving back, but also the actual idea generation, and where they're actually saying, hey, I want to help out here. What about this idea? And so I think, as an organization, it's one thing to say, yes, go give back. And then also, how do you give them that space and empower, enable them to be also the creative curators of, here's a problem, how do we go solve it? And give them the tools and resources to bring that forward and make sure that they have that support from the organization.
Yeah, that is, I think, I'm just overwhelmed and glad to hear that, right? Like, way to go, community, way to go, people, right? Like, people understand it. And we were talking before the show that, COVID-19 has impacted everyone, and, with all the unemployment and furloughs. And I think when I hear about your mission, Christy, and the people that you're trying to help, I can't help but think that these are the people that are potentially impacted the most by what's happened, right, in the economy and everything. And so if there was ever a time to really be focused on helping those in need and supporting the community, it's now, right?
Absolutely. Actually, we had a mom and a daughter that stopped into our office yesterday, and they had heard about the school supply drive, so they wanted to learn more and stopped in our office, and I had a chance to hear their story. And it was just, this is not a story that is just Fargo. This could be the same story across our whole entire US. It was a mother and a daughter that actually had just been relocated out of a family shelter. They had lived in the shelter for 11 months. And prior to that, they actually were living in a tent. And in Fargo, it gets very cold. And so they were doing this during the winter. And so for them to be able to have had this next step to be able to move into a small apartment, just stable, long-term shelter that is theirs, this was a huge step. And so they wanted us to make sure that we shared with the volunteers, the donors, to let them know that, it may not seem like a lot to others to have a backpack with these school supplies, but for them to be able to have all of those basic tools so that their daughter, who's 9, could start the first day of school on the same foot as other students, that was a huge, huge impact for their family. And so, it really made me stop to think about, and this is just one story, we fill 6,000 backpacks, and we know how important this year, because we've talked to the families that are in hospitality, in food service, have now been laid off from working at hotels, and how important it is for us to be able to provide these very specific resources to encourage, because we know that equity is a really important topic in our communities today. And in order for us to reduce the gap for those families and to be able to see our children, our next generation, our future leaders succeed, these small acts of kindness are incredibly important.
Wow, Christy, I'm just so blown away listening to the efforts that you and your team do every single day to help those people. It's just nothing short of amazing. I'm just sitting here thinking about our HR listeners, and I've said it before and I'll say it again. I mean, they're in a really tough spot right now trying to figure out how to navigate this pandemic. And like Eric said, I think we're all sick of hearing about it at this point, but it really has changed our lives. But listening to you two talk about what you've done in your specific areas to continue to promote giving in a time where people need it the most, what tips can you give to those HR teams to help promote the giving across their employee base for those who are in need?
Christy, I'll go ahead and start, and I would love to hear your perspective to add on as well. One of the tips that I would say is to make sure that employees know that they can have the time and support them with resources if the organization can, in order for them to give back to the community. It's so important for us to understand as people where we live, where we work, where we play, and the impact that we have on every day to make that community a great place to be. And that there are a lot of people that there's always a story out there that's less, that you could help, that there's somebody that is less privileged than you are. And so how do you leverage your given talents and your resources in order to help them? And I think if employees or if employers can continue to educate their employees on the impact that they have on the local community, to give them the space and the resources or the time, if they have more time than money, in order to encourage them to go give back. Just knowing that an employee is empowered to go do that is so important. The second thing that I would say is that giving back is just an amazing way to create employee engagement. There are many studies out there that talk about when employees employees feel connected to their organization and to the impact that they're having on the community, that employee is more engaged than employees who don't have that circular connection. They actually show less engagement at the workplace. And so the more that you can create opportunities for employees to give back in conjunction with their work is extremely important as well. During this time of COVID-19, I know we can't get together in person a whole lot, but we have beautiful weather right now. And so there's a lot of outdoor social distancing space that you could do in order to create give back opportunities as well. One of the things that we've done recently, sustainability is a big passion of ours at Microsoft. And we were working on a water preservation project along the Red River here. And as part of that water preservation project, we created volunteer opportunities for the team members in conjunction with the Audubon group, where our team members and their families were able to come out, learn about our trails and ways that they could get outside with their families. And then they also planted pollinators. We planted 2,400 pollinators in one day that helps restore the grasslands along the Red River. So there's a lot of creative ways that you can get your employees engaged, create that employee engagement opportunity, and still do it with the physical distancing that's required and or outdoors.
I love that, Sandy. Microsoft is just so inspiring the way that they lead through giving back. It's incredible. And so, I just appreciate hearing all of these different areas because you are so globally minded and also locally focused. It's inspiring. I would just say, I echo Sandy's comments. I would encourage HR managers and directors to truly celebrate when they see their team members doing something to give back, to lift it up, to share it throughout the organization, whatever channels that they might use. It's even more fun when we see the video. If we have an opportunity for an employee to be able to put their story to video and share that out with the rest of the team. I think we're so used to getting emails and maybe static pictures, and there's so much technology right now that makes it really easy for people to be able to share those moments and what really matters, because that will inspire others by hearing those stories as well. And so I just would encourage using video and being really authentic and encouraging your team and celebrating those wins.
That's a great
awesome.
Christy.
Yeah, awesome advice. I agree. We joke, Christy. We always talk about like the engagement that you get when you give, and like there's a runner's high, but there's also a giver's high, right? Like just that feeling you get, right, when you do something good.
It is true.
Yeah.
They actually have research on that, and so it is absolutely spot on.
And I think it's the point is like, don't underestimate what that can do for employee morale and for engagement to allow them opportunities to give back for sure.
Absolutely. There's a Deloitte study that showed exactly what you were just talking about. And so it's a couple of years old, but again, great research out there about how important those very authentic opportunities for employees to give back, how that truly does build culture and connection to their employer.
That's great. I love science.
I do too.
Besides the feel good, the tingly is I love when science can back that up too. I will say, I want to also, I know that people that are listening aren't coming from large organizations like Microsoft and maybe don't have the ability to pivot or be nimble. And I know there must have been challenges that you faced, right? And so I love to hear, with every learning, there are, things that we try to do and we come up with, there are shortcomings. And so I love to hear, what are some of the challenges that you ran into? And then how did you shift and pivot to make it a successful and continue to be a successful kind of giving culture?
This is Sandy. From my perspective, some of the challenges that we went into is the constant changing of whether it's local requirements, where we were doing the volunteer projects to make sure that we were staying up to date on the changes that were happening just from a regulatory standpoint. And then also getting creative and taking our employees in consideration in regards to what our employees are dealing with. We really had to take into consideration that, our employees are working from home. If they have kids, there's online school learning that's going on. And so making sure that we're looking at everything from an employee's perspective, from an accessibility and diversity perspective and then also the local regulatory guidelines, so that we could make sure that we're keeping our employees safe, that we're doing things that are consideration of their time, and then also really empowering them to go give back within the areas. And so things that we used to do in evenings and over lunch hours had to get a little bit more creative on some of that. And so that was probably the biggest challenges we ran into.
I think for us, one of the first things that we ran into was we have normally our annual meeting in March. And technically speaking, we usually have around 700 people that come to our annual meeting. And this happened 2 weeks before the actual shutdown started locally for us. We said, we're going to pivot. We're going to do a virtual event. And, we had tremendous technology partners that helped us make that happen. And we just looked at how do we engage our different companies across the organization or across the community. We wanted to make sure that they had an opportunity to have a voice and for us to be able to celebrate all that they had accomplished. And so we pivoted and did everything online. And normally like I said, we'd have 700 people that would attend. We had over 1,200 people that watched online with us that day. And it was just an incredible engagement opportunity for us. And so we recognize that now we're several months into this. I think that we will be able to continue to have our virtual events just because it's more convenient for people. And so for us, we just looked at how do we meet people where they're at rather than fighting it? And how can we be a true partner and make things more convenient and accessible for people? And so we've seen a tremendous amount of success with that. And we have a program called Emerging Leaders. And it's for people who are of a mindset that they are continuing to emerge and want to continue to learn and network and be a part of something really special and bigger than themselves in our community. And WEX is actually a sponsor of that program for us. And we just have found wonderful engagement with this group of over 900 individuals in our community, popping in and being a part of virtual sessions, virtual conversations, so that it meets them at the point where they can feel like it's accessible for them. And so it's really exciting to see what kind of response we've had, and especially as things across our community have changed and how we've had really important conversations about diversity and equity and inclusion that need to happen. And we're excited. We have an opportunity to have a session on that coming up soon. And so we already have over 300 people that have registered for that. So we're meeting people with topics that are important to them, but also meeting them at a point where it's very convenient for them to get involved. And so again, we have pivoted to switch what is the way that we did it before and how can we meet people and invite them in with the new normal.
I love it. I love it. I can feel the runner's high or the giver's high already just from talking to both of you. So, I mean, I can't tell you how much I appreciate you both coming in and giving your perspective on this. I want to hear from you both. How can our listeners give back? How can they help promote what you're working on, Christy?
I would love to have an outreach. If people are interested in giving back and maybe just want to have a conversation about how to be inspired in their own community, I would love to have those conversations. They can absolutely reach out to me at unitedwaycastclay.org. Would love to have, I think that's where those exciting new ideas come from. And again, if this can be a spark for another community, that's what it's all about. It's about making our stronger community a stronger nation, and getting people plugged in where they want to be inspired. So I think that, obviously if they're excited about how they can give back to help our community and people in our community, it's easy to learn more about our work online. and also give online as well.
I love that. That was the battle cry and a good opportunity to get involved. Sandy, I don't know. Can we get our hold of these 3D mask things, or what's the best way to, that Microsoft contributing and anything that we can do to get involved to help their cause, since you guys are a large organization making efforts across the world? Is there anything that we can do to help your efforts?
Oh, I appreciate that question, Eric. I'm a firm believer that we're all stronger together when we work together. And so the partnerships with like United Way and with the community is extremely important. And so for WEX or any of the other organizations that are out there, what we could do together is, if you have ideas on how we can together to give back in the community, or rally together multiple organizations to go be change makers and make a difference, I think it's important for us to put great minds together and come up with those ideas and figure out how we can help work together to make change in our communities, to partner with great organizations like the United Way, or even causes that we have in common, whether it's around sustainability or diversity and inclusion, work that we can do together in order to make a difference there. I think it's important. So reach out with great ideas on how we can partner together there.
Wonderful. Well, thank you both for coming on the show. It's again just a wonderful. I appreciate both of your perspectives. I think it was important to hear not only from the nonprofit United Way, and just understanding how you've kind of made it easier for those to give, and of course, Sandy, Microsoft leading the way with innovation as always on how to really enable their employees to feel a part of giving back to their community. So thanks both of you for perspectives, and I'm going to go have my 5th cup of coffee after this.
Thank you very much for hosting us on this podcast today. It's always great to have a conversation with you, and look forward to listening.
Absolutely. Thanks so much, Eric. Thanks so much, Kelsey. You guys are fantastic. I'm going to go have a cup of coffee too.
WEX is in the business of simplifying benefits for everyone. Now, although we certainly hope our podcast sparks some aha moments, like that was pretty cool, but of course we cannot provide legal, investment, or financial advice. And, well, therefore, nothing shared in this podcast should be interpreted as such. We encourage you to seek out appropriate professional advice regarding your plans. Hey, congratulations! You made it through our disclaimer. Thanks for listening.